For my project, I've created my own price index, calculated CPI, and found the real GDP for year 2. A price index is defined as a normalized average, typically weighted, of price relatives for a given class of goods or services in a given region during a given interval of time. Price indices are typically used to compare prices between time periods or geographical locations. Here is an example of a blank price index. On the top row, we see labels indicating quantities bought of certain items, unit prices in various years, and spending in various years. This particular price index takes place over 2 years. The first column on the left displays the items, or market basket of goods, that are being analyzed in the index. Notice the last box in the first column. That indicates that that row is reserved for totaling up necessary prices. This is the same price index once it is completely filled in. It is important to notice that to obtain spending in each year, the quantity bought in the base year and unit price for each specific good in said year are multiplied. For example, the quantity of sweatshirts bought in the base year was 90. In year 1, sweatshirts cost $25. Therefore, to get spending for sweatshirts in year 1, we must multiply quantity by price, in this case 90 times 25, to get $2,250 spent on sweatshirts in year 1. Note that since price indices compare prices over time, all calculations are based on the quantity of an item bought in the base year. Once you have a price index, the next step is usually to calculate the CPI, Consumer Price Index. CPI measures the rate of inflation over a period of time. Ideally, inflation should be at 3%. To calculate CPI, we must divide spending in the current year by the spending in the base year, then multiply the answer by 100. By multiplying the answer by 100, we are putting our answer in terms of a percent. So, if we want to calculate the CPI for year 1, we simply take spending in year 1 and divide it by spending in the base year, then multiply by 100. When done calculating, the CPI for year 1 comes out to be 117%. Since the base year has an index number of 100, this number indicates that there is 17% inflation in year 1. To calculate the CPI for year 2, we follow the same steps but divide spending in year 2 by spending in the base year, then multiply by 100. The CPI for year 2 comes out to be 229, which is quite high. Now, we are going to calculate the real GDP for year 2. Real GDP is used to measure output growth. However, it is adjusted for price changes, as opposed to nominal GDP, which is not. In order to calculate real GDP, we must divide the nominal GDP for a given year by the price index for that year. Then, multiply by 100. We will be calculating the real GDP for year 2. To get nominal GDP, we actually don't have to do anything. Nominal GDP is simply the total spending for any given year. In this case, for year 2, our nominal GDP is $5,840. Therefore, to calculate real GDP for year 2, we must divide 5,840 by 229, then multiply by 100. After doing so, we wind up with a real GDP of $2,550. Notice how large the real GDP number seems compared to the CPI number. This is due to the fact that GDP is a dollar value rather than a percentage like CPI.